final question of all of our guests on the show. And so we'd like to ask you the same question. So what's one lesson that you learned in college that did not take place in the classroom?
How to surf. Am
How
I
to
allowed to
surf.
have that? How to surf. Man, we were at the beach a lot, and I learned how to surf in college, and I did not learn that in the classroom. What did I learn outside of surfing? Um, they were bad lessons, honestly. In all honesty, they weren't even good lessons. I just look back now, it's probably a lesson I learned later. Um, I just was broken in some areas and unhealthy in some areas. And and so that's not I didn't learn it in college though. I kind of look back now and think, man, I wish I would have focused more on just the internal health of my life. And
Mm.
here's one thing I learned that I didn't learn. I learned a secret. I learned how to connect with the Lord, even when this is a lesson I learned that was good. I really learned how to connect with the Lord when I had to. How would I describe this? Like dorm life was different because I had a dorm mate, and so I would have to go find time to be with the Lord somewhere else. And so I remember distinct things that kind of stuck with me is I would just it was a Walkman with a cassette tape and headphones. And I just get my Walkman out and I would walk around the streets and I'd find an alley somewhere. And I would just spend time with Jesus in this alley because that's just kind of that's the only place I could find. I remember I worked at a valet parking cars for this big circus that came into town, and it was in this parking lot. And at night, while the circus was on, they would have about an hour and a half where they would ask somebody to volunteer from the valets to go stand at the entrance of the car lot to not let anybody else pull in there. And it was always by myself in the dark at night. And I would always volunteer because I would just go over there. I just meet with the Lord.
Mm.
Like it would be me sitting in this parking lot, nobody else around in the dark, and just worshiping God and meeting with God. This was before phones. I wasn't over there scrolling Instagram. Like we didn't have any smartphones. So I think I learned to meet with God in a pretty special way while at college, in unique ways, in ways that I had to go find. And I found that when I would get in a parking lot at night with nobody else around, God would meet with me. When I would go find an alley because I couldn't take any time in my dorm room, God would meet with me. So I think in the midst of things, that's a lesson that I'm very grateful for and kind of has still kept with me.